Hi everybody, welcome back. Earlier today, the Arthur W. Page Society issued a statement on the importance of truth and journalism and our support for both of those virtues as they're related to our commitment to the Page Principles. I'm joined right now by Gary Sheffer, who's with Weber Shandwick, former CCO at General Electric and also media past chairman of the Page Society, and Roger Bolton, who's president of the Arthur W. Page Society. Roger took the stage earlier today to talk a little bit about the statement, and Gary leads a subcommittee that is looking at sort of these issues around the modern media environment and worked with his subcommittee to produce the statement that we issued earlier today. So I'd like to just start and ask you both, why did you feel that it was important to make this statement, and why now in particular?
Let Roger lead, and because I think it's important to get the perspective of the Page Society, and then I can fill in where our subcommittee, the group of people that put this together, how it came together.
So we're an organization that exists mainly for the benefit of our members, right? And we meet together, we make each other better through exchanges and learning and networking and the like. And we rarely take public positions on issues. We're not a lobbying organization. But this is an issue that's become very prominent in public debate. What is fake news? What's truth? How do you adjudicate all of that? There's a lot of controversy around journalism, and frankly, public relations is implicated somewhat as well. And the Page Society, from the beginning, has adhered to a set of principles called the Page Principles, the first of which is tell the truth. So telling the truth is really important to us. It's baked into our DNA, and we felt that it was important at this moment in time to stand up on behalf of ourselves and our members and the profession to make a strong statement about the importance of facts, their relevancy to public debate, and our commitment to doing our best as public relations practitioners to support the truth, to tell the truth, to find the facts, and to support journalists as they go about their work, even though sometimes it's an adversarial relationship with us. Nonetheless, we feel we have a shared commitment to them to do fact-based truth-finding, if you will.
I'm going to say, in that framework, for me it was a little bit personal, and we've talked about this, which is, I'm really proud of the profession I'm in. I really, and I'm proud of the Page Society, and one of the things I love about it is that there is just this inherent commitment to the truth. And we talk about it at every meeting that we have. And, lately our profession has been, sort of, I think, unfairly in some ways, the cultural stereotype that exists about people who are in public relations, I think has been defined down. In other words, the profession has been defined down. So given that, what I see in my professional life and in our conversations with my colleagues like you, I just thought it was a time for us to reassert the fact that the public relations professional is often the person in these big organizations that is tasked with figuring out what the truth is and ensuring that not only are you conveying that in your public communications, but that your organization is acting upon the facts and values, etc. So, as Page, the second one is prove it with action, right? So, again, for me, it was a little personal, and I really love what we do, and it's so important to these big global organizations, and the focus on the truth in our jobs has never been more important. So that's why I thought it was the right time to do it.
Great. As I've been doing these interviews, I think just about all of the Page Principles have come up. Tell the truth, prove it with action. The employee activist one was certainly true character expressed by people. Activist investors manage the company as if the whole company depends on it. So I want to ask, just in terms of the way that CCOs approach, their communications and the decisions they make in their organization. This came up in the workshop that you were in yesterday.
Yeah,
actually.
right. Yeah.
It takes some courage, some fortitude, not just at the senior level, but at all levels,
right,
to kind of advocate internally for the truth. So what's your sense for how communicators ought to be doing that and why it's so important?
This is hard, particularly for junior communicators. And one of the things that I really I think this is so important again is people who are in communication schools and are starting out their careers in PR and communications to know that this is the role. I mean, it's a great role for you to be in these big organizations and sort of be the integrator on bringing together things. And so for communicators today, the search for the truth often starts with you in these organizations. And not that people are bringing you misinformation or falsehoods. It's that just like in every society or organization, there's different perspectives on what the facts are and what's important and what's not. And so you have to understand the internal context of that, the external environment, and try to put it all together in something that is factual and compelling still. We are, we do represent the enterprises that employ us, and ultimately truthful. Mm-hmm. And so that takes courage. Often when you're in an organization, you're talking to a CEO, a CFO, to say, I hear what you're telling me about the facts about this issue, but let's dive a little deeper to make sure it's really rock solid, because we want to make sure when we go public with this or we tell our employees about it, that we are being as truthful and as clear about it. So often it's just asking questions and having that sort of journalistic mindset inside your own organization to ask really tough questions, and you have to be informed as a communicator when you do that. You have to understand the business that you're in, but it's often your job to really pursue the truth.
Last night I did a little tribute to Ed Block, who was one of our founders, and one of my favorite quotes of all time, in Marilyn Laurie, when she was inducted into the Hall of Fame, quoted Ed Block, who was one of her predecessors, as saying, it takes guts.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what you were talking about. It's what Ed was talking about. And it's understandable that from a public or an external perspective, Jerry Baker of the Journal sort of said this morning, we're paid advocates for our organizations. And so it's sort of a public expectation that we're putting a spin or putting some kind of a... And I think it's really important what Gary's talking about, because in order to have credibility and to really advocate for your organization, it has to be fact-based and it has to be truthful. Now, of course, your organization may have a point of view on the implications or the meaning of a set of facts that may differ from some external perspectives, but the facts themselves, even when they're inconvenient, need to be addressed and recognized and brought forward. It's not about obfuscation, it's about directly confronting the entire body of knowledge and facts and addressing it forthrightly.
And to build on what Roger says, one of the most important things is a consistency of the facts that you're presenting to your audiences. I've found in my career that sometimes internally we're not as fully truthful with our employees as maybe we should be. And I'm not being specific about where I worked or anything. In other words, externally you tell investors, we're doing great. We're doing so good, we just knocked it out of the park. And then the market reacts to what you released, the information you released, and it may have a different view. And so then, your employees see that and they go, okay, so what is the truth here? So it's really important from a communicator standpoint that, particularly internally with your people, that your internal communications are not happy talk. That when it's inconvenient, you tell them. When it's not good news, you tell them. And that, when we talk about the truth in what we do, that's what we're talking about, right? Is really that sense of honesty and authenticity with the people that you work with every day, either inside or outside the company, so that they can make informed judgments about where they work, where they invest their money, who they partner with, et cetera, et cetera. The truth has a big context right now. Time magazine has a cover, "Is the Truth Dead?" And so everybody's talking about it. But it's always been, 35th year of Page, right, Roger? From the start, this has been, the founders of Page were smart to know that this is the centerpiece of what we do, and have been talking about it since day one.
Yeah, I'm reminded of the mission of the society, which is to strengthen the enterprise leadership role of the CCO. And we say oftentimes that's not because we're self-important, but because we genuinely believe that strong leadership from the CCO helps organizations be more trusted, more responsible, more deserving of positive reputation, and those have positive economic benefits, but also it's part of being a responsible member of society. So I sort of connect that back to what we heard from Jerry Baker on journalism as well. And in fact, you got a question about, what does it do to the brand in terms of people's ability to trust sources of news, the journal or otherwise. And it's interesting to think about that intersection where communicators are advocates for disseminating truthful information to media and otherwise, either paid or shared on multiple ways. But journalists, in working in partnership with journalists, that's where it's really important that those partnerships build trust and allow people to have really informed opinions about what's going on.
Yeah, I loved what he said. It's, as I said at the outset, it's sometimes an adversarial relationship between a source and a journalist. But that's a healthy and respectful adversarial relationship. And I love the way he said it. It should be a non-confrontational, mutual desire to get to the truth. Yeah. And a recognition on both sides that you don't have all the facts or all the truth, and your job together is to find that. Yeah. And that's a really healthy way to think about the tension, but it serves a public good, which is larger, and that is giving the public the information that it needs to make informed decisions about our companies, about their democracy, etc.
We're PR people and journalists are, we're on different sides, and sometimes we're adversarial in that sense, but I do think that real journalists, obviously, and PR professionals, and journalists and PR people on both sides who are professionals, are ultimately discoverers of fact, and tellers of those facts. And so I've tried to, approaches over the year of, picking up the phone and yelling at folks if I don't like a story. But I've always found that the best way of communicating or advocating, really, in a first point of view that I believe to be true is clearly and calmly and with the facts. In other words, when you call up a reporter to say your story stinks or whatever, it doesn't help to just rant and rave, and I've done that a few times in my life.
Been there too.
Yeah, as many journalists know. But when you call up and you say, look, here are 3 things I think are factually wrong in your piece, and we really want to get it right. And having done that work ahead of time and building a relationship so that doesn't happen, that's what when we're at our best, is when we're really just and often today in today's divided U.S., there are people who yell about this media brand or they yell about that media brand from both sides, without specifics. And that is when PR people, spokespeople, are not doing their job. You're doing your job when you're talking about what reality is and how it's presented through different channels.
I think that's the truth.
Yeah, I hope so.
Gary, Roger, thank you so much for spending this
Elliot.
time. The statement that we issued is on this Facebook page and also on the Page Society website. Please leave your comments below. We'd love to hear what you think, and we'll look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thanks.
Good job. That's good.